back on the carbs. So this could be part 4, part 2, or it could be part 5. Who knows? We'll decide in the editing. I've had the float bowl covers off camera, and they're all very, very clean, and the jets have definitely been out. There's witness marks on them, so they have been cleaned. The only other thing I've noticed is one of the choke levers, or one of the chokes, is sticking. I've got I don't know whether you can see this, but I've got all the rest working. Look, it's only got to come out a little bit to activate the choke, but they've all been lubricated. That one, and they're returning well. So we'll see. That one might need tightening up, look, because there's air coming out, and this one is a little bit stiff. So I'm going to take the choke out and have a look. The only other thing that I've noticed is on the fuel tank there is what appears to be a vacuum line to open the tap. I can't remember my old one having a vacuum line, and I'm just having a quick look. Your vacuums normally took off the inlet rubbers or off the carbytinkles, and I can't, just a quick look, but I can't see a vacuum takeoff on the carbs, and I'm fairly sure mine wasn't vacuum, it was just gravity. So I don't know, some further investigation will have to take place, because in theory the vacuum takeoff should be the same side as the throttle plate, the master throttle plate, because that's the side of the fuel tap, and obviously you want the shortest running. So I'm going to have to investigate where there's a vacuum pick-off for that pipe, because it's got to be easily accessible for when you remove the pipe. So anyway, that's what I'm buggering about with at the moment. Yes. The aluminium tray has got to come off, because I found some of the fittings on the linkages for the choke are loose. So if they're loose, they're not going to stay in the right position. So that's going to come off to get me better access, and then we'll have a go at it. Right, found the problem. This is the choke activation lever. That's where the choke cable goes through there, attaches to this little nipple there. Can you tell what it is yet? Right, anyway, this was loose. This is the choke linkage. It goes under there, goes to the back, another pivot there that goes down for the back rod. But this was moving sort of that much before it was doing anything, because it was turning on the spindlage, and now we've got full movement and none of the chokes are sticking, because this lever being stiff. Now when you extend the cable, knock the choke off, it should push this a little bit, just give it enough, but they're all knocking off and coming on and knocking off now. So now I think I'm going to have a look at the book and check the proper routing for these fuel pipes as well, because there's a clip missing there, there's a clip missing there, you know, and we'll just, while they're off, we'll go over it. But I still can't see a vacuum takeoff for the fuel tap, so I'm going to have to investigate that. I'll have a look in the manual. I mean, there's loads online about NC24s. There's some really good support groups for 21s and 24s, but I'll just have a quick look at the Haynes, see if the NC30 tank tap is the same sort of setup and where it takes its vacuum from. Because the only pipes I can see are the crankcase vent, which is obviously positive pressure. Obviously your fuel is positive feed, but there's nowhere to tap into the vacuum of the carbytinkles. Either that, or one of these carburetors has been assembled in the wrong area. Entirely possible. So yeah, I can't blatantly obviously see a vacuum port. We'll investigate. Yes. Right. Yeah. Choke linkage all tightened up, as I've just said. I've just had a very quick googly lookingtons at the fuel tap on an NC24. And it is indeed a vacuum tap. There is definitely a vacuum diaphragm behind it, as there is on that one. I can't remember mine having one. I really can't. And I had that tank off several times. I'm going to have another good look at the carbs, because there's not a vacuum takeoff on the carbs that I can see, and it's going to be on an inlet tract, because it on the NC30 it's on cylinder 3, which is, if you sit on the bike, bottom right, it's cylinder 3. It's a stupid way of numbering it. What you think is cylinder number 1, or what I would say was cylinder number 1, would be top left, and I think Honda don't number them like that. I think cylinder 1 is bottom left, then it goes like 2, 3, 4, something like that. Anyway, I've looked on Charlie, and that spigot isn't there. The blanks are there to balance the carbytinkles, but there's no spigot for the pipe. It must have one, because there's witness marks on the tap to show it has been plugged in somewhere. Maybe I'm missing something blatantly obvious. Is it on this, I wonder? No, doesn't look like it, and that wouldn't cause suctioning. So I'm going to have to do some Google that internet stuff, and try not to look at pornography, and do that. It's funny, I'm still adjusting to being single after nearly 10 years, and it's really weird, because I've always been a chap that likes my own space, still am. So, you know, it worked well for me, but, you know, hey ho. But the thing I miss the most is someone to share experiences with, like a good meal, just relaxing, scenery, someone who appreciates scenery as much as you do, because like places like Glencoe blew me away. You know, if somebody doesn't get Glencoe, they are not on my wavelength, basically. So yes, so I'm still sort of adjusting, and for the most part I'm not enjoying it. Right, it's time to have some hash browns, bacon and toast, and then get on the internet for a little bit, and then just see what I can find out about the location. Yes, thank God for the internet. And not for the reasons you're thinking, dirty-minded people. Anyway, I have found the vacuum takeoff. Not on the carbs, and it's not on the intake rubbers. I will show you. So on the NC30, it's on a spigot beneath cylinder number 3, where the screw blanks for the carbytinkle adjustment is. And you'll never believe where it is on the 24. Let me see if I can get you in. Maybe there. Yeah. Can you see it? There. There. Hopefully you can see that. I can't ever remember my 24 being connected. I can't ever remember putting a vacuum pipe on the 24, and it ran fine, you know, it ran okay. But there is definitely a vacuum diaphragm on the back of the tap. There's actually 3 outlets, a massive one which is for the fuel pipe. Next to that is another smaller one which you could mistake for the vacuum, and the one right around the back of the tap, furthest away, is the vacuum takeoff for the tap. So yeah, that's going to be fun to get the pipe back on. it's going to be doable, obviously, but yeah, what a silly place to put it. And like I say, I can't ever remember mine being connected, but well, at least that's that mystery sorted. I thought for a minute maybe we'd got some wrong parts, but no. So that's it. That's another thing ticked off the box. So, as I've just stated, and at the risk of repeating myself, we're going to adjust and just double check the air screws, which on the old Honda, on this bike, they're here. Top of the float bowls there, there's one there, and same again the other sides, because they make them really easy to get to. I mean, common logic would dictate that these would actually be facing outside the bank, so they were easily adjustable, but no, Honda in their mighty wisdom have decided to put them in there. So, you know, it is what it is. Now they've got to be 2 turns out. Now one thing I did notice actually in the manual is there was a difference between the NC21 engine and the NC24 engine, and that is the 24 engine has more compression. I think it's like 0.3 more compression, which doesn't sound a lot, but it is. It does make a difference. So obviously they learnt something, and then again it changed for the NC30. So I'm going to be double checking those, and it looks like it's going to be quite awkward, because you can get a fairly straight shot, and that's not too bad actually. Use a good fitting screwdriver. Sometimes these are quite tight because they've not been moved in years, but the way to check them is back them out a bit and then screw them in gently until they act on the O-ring. There's an O-ring on the end. They're a bit like a smaller version of these float bolt drains. Get off, just a finer point, and that sets the initial mixture basically. It's often called a pilot screw, an air screw mix, whatever. If it mentions an air screw or a pilot screw, this is what they mean, and it's on different positions on different carburetors. On this one it's here, on other ones it'll be sort of there, on other ones it can be on the other side. So if you're not sure which screw it is, either leave well alone or get a manual and find out, because if you're stripping and cleaning carbs, ideally you need to take these out as well and blow through the passage, because this sets the mixture basically. Get it wrong and it's running lean, your combustion chamber will get too hot and you can blow holes in pistons and stuff like that. A little bit rich is not bad at all. It is way better to run a touch rich than it is lean, because touch rich doesn't really cause any damage. You'll foul plugs and stuff like that, but it's stuff that can be sorted easily. So right, turn it off, Jim, turn it off. So the master's in and it's right on the bottom of the butterfly. It has to be obviously on the outer most extremities. So that one's set. Now this isn't rocket surgery. The adjustment for this butterfly, this carburetor will get matched to the master, and then these pair will get matched together, or that one will get paired to that and that one will get paired to that. That is the adjustment there for this one, and then these two have their own adjustments left and right there. It will tell you in the manual if there is a specific way to adjust these. When it tells you about carburetor synchronization, they're the screws that you're altering when the bike's running. And if you can see on this one, if these carburetors were fitted, what a pain in the arse it'd be, because these are at the bottom of the bowls and there is no room. So I bench sync because it's as accurate as anything else. So what I'm going to do now is put this, which is the same thickness as that, down there, and it's got to be just a draggy fit, which it is. So that's good. We'll try this one. that's a little more open, and this one, and that's a little more open. So we've got to tighten these up a touch. That one's fine. So to tighten it, you back the screw off, and it is a little bit, and they're all under screw tension. So literally I'm going to go quarter turn, because that does have a big action on it. Yep, still not there, still not touching. Sometimes rear cylinders can be set different to the others. It's like on some inline fours, the outers will be set different to the inners, because the inlet tracks are different lengths, so you get a different vacuum. And I'm just going literally a quarter turn at a time. Nice. Get the bloody screwdriver in. Well, I know I'm still well off, so half a turn. Right, we're getting there now. You get the idea. I'm going to set them and then bring you back. They are all set now, and it turned out I was turning that screw the wrong way, but it's done now. So they're all set the same to open at exactly the same time. So apart from putting the clips back on, oh yeah, I've got to this is the idle screw control, and as you can see, somebody's wailed on the fucker at one point. So I'm going to straighten that out or replace the bolt. It's just a bolt that slips into there, and there's a little hex moulded into here. It's under spring and washer tensione. So if I've got a slightly longer one of those, I'll replace the bolt. But other than that, I'll straighten that one out a bit, and then all that's done. And then what we do is, when that's screwed in and acting upon this, it screws in there, is we just set it so it's just literally just cracking these open, and then we'll go from there to set the idle. It might not even start on that, because obviously nothing's coming through, so you've got to just play with it. Not like that, Jim, honestly. This chap, he'll never grow up. Cake and coffee. I did get home from work the other night when it was my sainted mother's birthday, hoping to get a slice of birthday cake, but no, so I've had to go and purchase my own. Anyway, what we're doing now is I've got the headlight on, look, is we're just lining up all these trumpets, because we've got to get those, we've got to get them seated over those spigots, and one there, if you can see, has deformed. So I'm just straightening it out so it sits properly, and the pan can go on. Use aluminium tray bolted back on, and I'm just taking the plastic bit off the bit off the top, because I may need to, when I refit these chimbadingles, is I may just need to put a bit of wood across there and give it a gentle bijou tapette with the rubber Persuadathon 5000, and it just gives me a better surface to wail on, basically, so we won't break the plastic. Also, it gives me a bit more room for fitting cables, because I've now got a couple of inches more on the top to fit the cables, and then the airbox can just be put on last. So yes, almost ready to be refitted. I don't think I've got to do anything else. Everything's tightened up, everything's working that should work. So yes, we'll find out. I've got another brew on the go. Yes, I've got an impromptu day off today, and I looked at the weather forecast yesterday and said, oh yeah, it's going to rain to that 6:30 a.m. and then dry up, and it hasn't stopped yet. It's still showering, and it's windy, and I was going to go out on the motorcycle and go and get myself some breakfast somewhere, you know, just a little solo adventure, because I've got to get used to is being happy on my own when I'm out, because it's something I don't do a lot. Something I used to do a hell of a lot in my 20s is I'd go anywhere on my own, absolutely anywhere, any excuse to ride the bike. I was on it, out having an adventure on my own, and I loved it. And over the years I've lost the ability to do that, whether it's a confidence thing or I don't know. So I just want to try and get back in that groove, which is why, you know, if you tell anybody, oh, I've got the day off, quite often they'll go, oh, you could do this, you could do that, oh, why don't you come over and all this lot. It's not, you know, as an introvert anyway, it's nice to be invited, it's very much appreciated at all times, but it's not how an introvert works, you know. Sometimes you can't bear to take yourself out, let alone be with other people, and it's nothing out of hatred or anything like that. It's how you're wired up. So yes, so they are, I think, ready to go on. We need some red rubber grease to put onto the intake rubbers, because intake rubbers are a lot like vaginas. Don't try and ram anything in it dry, because you'll only hurt it, or you'll make a mistake or something like that. So pretend it's your anniversary and either spit on it or lube it up. Right, I think we're ready to refit the carbytinkles, and the knack is introduce the fronts first, because they're almost vertical. Yeah, they're nearly downdraft. Nice. One thing to ensure, make sure these clamps are in a position that you will be able to get to them to do them up when you've put the carbytinkles down, because once the carbytinkles are down, you ain't gonna get to them. So yes, so that's critical. And what I'm going to be using is my red rubber grease. This has lasted years. It is red rubber grease, and it's meant for braking systems, shit like that, because we can't use a grease or a lubricant which is going to react with the rubber or make it swell or anything like that. So yes, I'll get on with doing that. Oh, but wait, I've got a visitor. Who could it be? Hello everybody, Alan here. Jim's asked me to come and lubricate his holes, because apparently he says that me and Tracy are a really good example. So here we go. First of all, put a little blob of grease somewhere, and don't forget, lubricate your finger. That went on my finger perfectly. And then just introduce your finger to the hole, and if she likes it, carry on and go all around the hole. If she's particularly keen, use 2 fingers and just go in there and start to rub around. Right, Alan, that's enough. Go and get your cupcakes. Right, it's me. I'm back again. Of course, that was the genuine Alan Milliard. Honestly, yes. So we're just lubricating the rubberage now, just to give us a fighting chance that we won't have to get a sledgehammer out to stick them back in again. So, and this will also protect against corrosion as well, because the carb mouths can get corroded, you know, with water in the fuel and condensation and shite like that. So they're all lubricated, and we're now ready to pop the carbs on. I need both hands for this, and ooh, the tripod's there. I could actually film the process, or I could just get on and do it, just in case it turns into a swear fest. Hopefully you can see down this area. It's probably too much. I can't see the screen, you see. So yes, let's try and introduce some carburetors. I've got the mallet of malice just in case. So we come in and we'll offer the fronts in. And as usual, you know, base is. That's premium in these things. I need to get that under the coils. That's it. Jeez, they're nearly lined up. I might just have to move these coils, give myself a bit more wigglage. Yeah, I'm going to have to. So I'm going to pop these coils off, bring you back. Oh, I just swore at the camera and called it an effing C. Right, they're on, and guess who forgot to press record? Me. But basically what I did is introduce the fronts in, and then you rest the mallet on it and just give it a tap round, and then to get the backs in I'll just put the mallet over there to protect the alley and give it a good humping, and they go in. So they are all pretty much where they need to be. There's a little tappet of adjustment to do, but before I tighten up the clamps and shit, I refitted the choke. That's all done, so that should now, yep, works perfectly because I am fantastic. Good, 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 good. And just make sure the choke comes off all the way. Yeah, brilliant. So there's nothing stopping me. I had to move these cablages out of the way. Moving the coils just gave me a little bit more wiggle room, so they can go back. Don't forget the earth. So yeah, there's nothing to stop me actually chooching a bit of the old bang lotion down there and seeing if she will actually fire properly. You know, fingers crossed, because it'll run all right as it is. So I don't know, we'll see. Right, I've just moved you a little bit. I didn't have a lot of fuel in the old tank, but I think I've mostly filled the fuel bowls up, probably not enough. But I've just put a little bit of fuel down the trumpets, and let's just see if we get a spark and there's life. Yes. Right, little bit of choke, not much, little bit. Ooh. Whether we've got the idle correct. Little bit on the old idle. I think the idle screw's the wrong length, because even at like touching the throttle plate, it's almost at full compression of that spring. So I think somebody's actually replaced that screw and it should be longer, but I'm just probably making up excuses. Good. Right, let's get some starty bastard. Let's just have a little bit. Way too much. Perfect. I just want to see if it'll bark off without the choke. Which it sort of will. Bit of choke. I'll talk to you without a lovely V4 getting in the way. Yeah, that's more like it. That's more like it. So that's what it was. The chokes were stuck open, and because I'm a child, I'm going to try it again. As you can see, it should be about 1200 plus or minus. And you know, it's not a warm day, so we'll get a proper fuel supply rigged in at some point. I'll have to do the vacuum hose, but I think for today that'll do. I hope you've enjoyed. Yes, turn that off, shall we, Jim? So the audience of lovely people. Oh, sit down, fatty. So the audience of lovely people can actually hear you. Yeah, that's going to do it for today, I think. We've got cables. The cables are here, as I've probably already mentioned. Yes, you have, Jim. So the next job, now the carbytinkles are on, obviously I've got to tighten up the bottom clamps. Do those, ensure there's no air leaks, and by that I'm going to put a bit more fuel in it. I'm going to run the bike, and then I'm going to spray some stat, you bastard, around the boots. If there's no difference in RPM, it means we haven't got an air leak. So we're good. They actually went in pretty well, because those rubbers are actually pretty good. They're still pliable, so I think they've been replaced. So I think that's the end of the carburetors. All that's left to do is literally reassemble the airbox, but I'm going to leave it off so I've got more room to piss around with cableage, because it just makes it easy to route. The cables will be a totally separate video. The brakes will be a totally separate video. And then what I'm going to do is give the engine a good going over with brake clean and something, and then run it, just in case we can spot any leaks, basically. Another job that I'm going to do is that single-sided swing arms are prone for the adjusters seizing up. We've decided we're going to put a new seal kit in the back caliper anyway, so the wheel's got to come off, hand gesture, the wheel's got to come off, the caliper's got to come off, be stripped, cleaned. It's actually working alright, but if we're replacing the seals on the other calipers, we may as well do the whole lot. You know that they're done then. And while I've got the back end off, I'll have her up on the aber stand, and I'll more than likely strip the rear suspension linkage, grease all the bearings and all that lot. So yes, I'm sure I've still got a nut big enough to take the hub apart. It's quite an interesting design, because obviously the cush drive and everything is all in that one unit. What would be inside the back wheel is all in this hub here, and it's a fantastic bit of engineering. So yes, that will be in forthcoming videos. So I think we'll wrap this one up now, because the carbs are on. We've cured the high idle, fingers crossed, sorry, flatulence. And one thing I do need to address is the mounting of the oil cooler, because as you can see, I think they're oil cooler lines. Yes, they are. These chrome oil cooler lines should sit in these brackets nicely, and they're not, which means the oil cooler just needs to be undone, those put in the brackets and done up again, and then it's just all the little jobs really. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying it. And it's a little peach of an engine, absolute little peach. Get that vacuum pipe on is going to be a bit of a git. I'm thinking some long nose pliers and a prayer book will probably get it done. But yeah, we've got no carb leaks. One danger of having carbs on the bench and being dry for a few days, you get a big danger of needles and seats sticking, and then you'll get fuel coming out the overflow and stuff. I didn't put a lot of fuel in, literally just enough to tickle the bowls, because Phyllis or Nibbler will have to need some. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress so far. Jim, stop waffling, say goodbye.